So I want to talk a little bit about how I managed to find a really strong purpose in what I'm doing at the moment. And the reason for that is I was putting myself in your guys' shoes, and I was thinking about what to talk about today. And I know that some of you will be really enjoying the track you're on, the studies you're doing at the moment. And some of you might be feeling a little bit unsure, searching perhaps, anxious even about the study that you're doing or what lies ahead. And I really empathise with that because that's how I felt for a long time. And so I want to give a few lessons that I've sort of thought about from my experience about how to maybe work through that, and then talk a little bit about my experience as a teacher, helping students to flourish and find a purpose of their own. So I'll start with a couple of stories, and I'll warn you in advance that both of them involve some tears. Okay? So story number one takes place in the law library in summer, in the summer of 2011. I was 23 years old and I was doing the Jessup International Law Mooting competition. Hands up if you've heard about that. Okay, a few people raising their hands. And I was there every day of the summer from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and that was leaving early, apparently. I was completely miserable. I started uni as a law arts student, and I finished with an arts degree, then I did 6 months of medicine at Notre Dame, didn't like that, came back to UWA, was finishing off my law degree, didn't really want to be there, had no idea what I wanted to do, and I just thought I kind of like mooting, I'm not bad at it, so I may as well do it for the summer, which was a terrible reason to make that decision. And I remember it very, very clearly because it was 3 or 4 a.m. I was in the law library, alone, working on an international law submission, and I was yelling, throwing things around, and the thought that was running around in my head was, what am I doing here? This isn't me. I don't know how I got here. And on the drive, it was a long drive home, and I remember crying on the way back and thinking, I just don't know how I got to this point. Story number two also takes place in a library, this time a high school library at Cecil Andrews Senior High School, 2016, 28 now. So this was last term. And it was a Year 9 Society and Environment Civics class, and I thought that before they learned about politics, they should learn a bit about their own identity and the issues that they care about and the strengths that they and their family have. So they were working on these posters, they were creating beautiful images of their strengths and the issues they cared about and their family history, and kids were running up to me every few seconds asking me to print stuff off, and they were typing and sharing ideas, and it was just such a great moment in the classroom. I noticed that one girl, Asta, sitting quietly with her headphones in as usual and wasn't really doing anything. I walked over to Asta, I said, what's going on? You don't want to draw an image or something here? She goes, no, I don't really like drawing. I go, you're a very good creative writer, Asta, why don't you write something for your post and then you can put it on? She goes, well, what should I write about? And I said, well, who's the person in your life who's made the biggest difference to you? And I'm not going to pronounce this right, and she said my bedstefar, which means grandfather in Danish. And I said, well, why is that? And she said, well, he told me all about our culture, and he made me feel that I was okay, and that any time I had a problem I could come to him. And when he died, I was so sad, but I always feel like he's with me. And I came back a few minutes later, said, you must write about that. Came back about 15 minutes later, she was writing completely focused. I read what she'd written, and it was so emotional and heartfelt that I just sort of teared up a little bit. And she pretended not to notice, even though I'm sure she did. And I just thought for me at that moment, I felt so inspired and motivated and connected. And I really felt like I'd found a sense of purpose. It was just the total opposite of that experience. So I guess the question I asked myself when I was creating this little speech was, how do I get from story 1 to story 2? We all want to be in the story 2 mode, but it takes some time and patience and faith to get there. So for me, just thinking about my experience, I think there was three really important things. Number 1, following your deepest drive at a certain moment in time. Number 2, seeking out and reflecting on your experiences. And number 3, sticking with what you most enjoy. So to illustrate these a little bit, I'll tell a few more stories of what happened between 2011 and 2016. So I finished the law degree in 2012, and I was thinking, I should probably do economics honours. I haven't done any honours. You're supposed to do honours. Someone said it would be really good and that you get more chance of getting a job. And I thought, I really don't want to spend another year in the library. And I'd be crazy to do that. And what I really want at the moment, my deepest drive is at the moment, is to get some practical hands-on experience. And the best way to do that was to use my law degree, find a couple of law firms that I really wanted to work at and was interested in, volunteer with them, use some savings. And that's what I did. I thought I'd go to Sydney, worked at a public interest law firm there, went up to Darwin for a few months, volunteered at a criminal law firm there, working with mostly Aboriginal clients. And I remember being there and someone said, do you want to come on the road trip down to the Bush Court? So I thought, yeah, that sounds very interesting. So I went along with that. We were driving down from Darwin through the desert, and I was speaking to the youth lawyer, and she, very experienced, but sometimes it seemed to me, I got the vibe from her that she was fraying a little bit, that it was getting a little bit much, the work that she was doing. And I said to her, tell me a bit more about your job and your experience. And she said, it's very frustrating when you deal with clients day after day, and they're 18, 16 or 17 or 18 in the youth court, and you manage to get them out of that charge. Then they come back a month later, nothing's changed, and Ryan said their minds a lot of the time are already broken. There's not much I as a youth lawyer can do. And that really stayed with me. That was very powerful for me, and I started to reflect a little bit on that, and I was thinking, young people, their well-being, their flourishing, those are all things I care about, but is law really the best angle for that? It's coming in often when the problem is already occurred. So I thought education might be a better way. And I was lucky that Teach, Learn, Grow existed then, and I volunteered for a week with that, and that was a very positive experience. And then I followed my deepest drive again, and I went to Israel for about a year and a half and worked and lived there. And whilst I was working there, doing a fairly dead-end sort of pay-the-bill job, I thought I'll seek out this opportunity to do some volunteering with young people. See if I actually really enjoy working with young people, see if I could really do education. And I found a youth centre in a poor part of the neighbourhood in South Tel Aviv. The youth centre was called Chelamit, about 30 to 40 young Ethiopian Israelis coming there after school. Totally chaotic environment, people running in and out willy-nilly, run by a woman with a huge heart, very little educational expertise or experience, supported by some young Israeli volunteers. And I really loved it. I remember the first day I rocked up, obviously I was much taller than them and I didn't speak Hebrew very well. And so I was trying to sort of connect with them, and I drew a map of Australia, and we were drawing all the dangerous creatures of Australia in there. And then someone said, you must draw a kangaroo. And I tried to draw a kangaroo. And then I said, that I've actually eaten kangaroo before. And that sent them into hysterics. And then from that point on, the girls, they would see me and run off. You're the one who eats kangaroo. And the guys, they would see me and run towards me. He's the one who's eating kangaroo. So it was just this great way of connecting with them. And I was volunteering there once or twice a week for about 3-4 months, and I don't think I taught them any English. That was what I was supposed to be doing, or mindfulness for that matter, but a few very amusing attempts at yoga and mindfulness, which is what I was supposed to be doing there. But I learned a lot from them. I learned that connecting with young people, learning their stories in that relaxed, informal environment, that's where I really felt very alive, and that's what gave me energy. So came back from Israel, having reflected on that, realising that, yes, wanted to do teaching, thought about different options, grad dip, masters, heard about Teach for Australia, applied, got into the school, and that's what led to that second moment, that second story with Asta in that library. Those 3 key things: following my deepest drive, not what I think I should do, what others think you should do, seeking out those interesting experiences, then reflecting on them, and sticking with what you really enjoy, which for me was that connecting with young people. So that's sort of the first part. And now what I want to do is talk a little bit more about the actual experience of working in a high school. But before I do that, if you'll indulge me for a moment, I'd like everyone to close their eyes, please, and bring to mind the most positive, memorable learning experience of your high school years. 30 seconds, whatever comes to mind. Just trying to imagine what you were doing. Who else was there? Okay, thanks guys. So I'm very curious, would 2 or 3 people just like to share, and then I will, the experience that they were thinking about? Otherwise I'll have to call some volunteers. Yes?
Year 11 or year 12 physics, we learned about torque. Physics teacher took us down to the car park, all in our school dresses, and taught us how to change a tyre on his car while we were waiting.
Very interesting. Anyone else like to share a learning experience that they remember? Well, I'll share the one that came to my mind, which was when we were learning about solar power. Our year 9 or 10 science teacher said that we had to create a solar oven to bake a potato, and he was going to judge the quality of the solar ovens by the taste of the potato and its tenderness. And we were all so into it, making these solar ovens, and it was by far the most fun and most memorable experience I had in high school. And that's saying a lot for how good those hands-on, relevant, real-world sort of things that Alex and I just mentioned can be. But it's also a little bit of an indictment, as Anish was saying before, because there should be many, many more of those experiences happening. Not just 1 or 2 that could bring to mind. I could only remember 1 or 2. So, in my year so far at Cecil Andrews, term 1 was mostly survival. Scrambling to work out what I'd be teaching tomorrow. You know, trying to build relationships with the kids and the colleagues. Term 2 was finding my feet more, being ambushed by the students one day in year 9, when they just told me their classes were boring, not interesting at all, got to find ways to make this better. Even Asta said, "Oh, it's so boring," and I didn't. And once you hear from Asta, then you know it's serious. So I had to go away, think about it, and I thought to myself, well, what do I actually want to? What is my passion and vision? As Lila was saying, what is my vision in this classroom, in this school as a teacher? And I really thought about my own most memorable experiences. Hands-on, experiential learning, something real world and meaningful. And I thought I needed a framework to kind of capture this so I could bring this to my students. And project-based learning, for me at the moment, is that framework. Project-based learning is really about creating projects where students create real product, whether it's a feature article or a solar oven or an identity poster for the year 9s, whatever it might be, with a specific, meaningful purpose in mind, like learning more about themselves or feeding the science teacher or whatever it is, for a real audience. Someone's going to see and value their work. And I came across it, it resonated with me instantly. I learned a bit about it over the holidays, and in term 3 and term 4, my focus has really been trying to bring project-based learning into my classes, and I have noticed that my motivation is higher, my lessons and units are definitely better, my connection with the kids is better, because I'm learning more about the things that they're most interested in. They're choosing their focus area in these projects. I'm just helping them along the way. And their learning is actually higher because they're working harder, because someone's going to see that identity poster at the end, like their parents and peers, or other teachers are going to come into the Year 10 classroom and have a look at the social issues advertisement that they've been creating about an issue that they care about. So I suppose to bring these two strands of this talk together, when we're talking about education, I guess what I've learned this year is that need for purpose and meaning that we all have, we're also looking for, students have it as well. They want to feel that their work is purposeful and meaningful. And ever since I've started trying to provide learning experiences and projects with that in mind, my, and I think their experiences in my classrooms have got a whole lot better. So, some final words. If you are searching, unsure, trying new things, not certain, relax. People used to tell me that all the time, oh, relax, you work it out. And I just go, yeah, it's very easy to say. And it is easier to say. But I went through that for many years, changing degrees, switching around, struggling. And I think that if you guys have faith in yourselves and maybe try and apply some of those things I was talking about, following your deepest drives, trialing experiences, reflecting on them, sticking with what you most enjoy, then I'm no doubt that you guys can and will find that passion and purpose. Thank you very much.